If you know me, you know I'm a big proponent of taking diet breaks during your cutting phases. They can be super helpful for things like keeping your hormones and metabolism in a better place, and they also have mental benefits of being able to enjoy more food and reducing hunger. However, there's been many people arguing lately that they don't help like we once thought, thanks to some research that came out recently. So has my opinion changed? Well, stay tuned and I'll talk about who I think diet breaks may be more or less helpful for. Hey, this is Colin DeWaay. If you're interested in the evidence-based approach to not only getting in better shape, but mastering your metabolism, then make sure you subscribe and click on that bell notification so you don't miss anything. Alright, jumping right in here, I'm assuming you know what diet breaks are at this point, but if you don't, it's basically where you take your calories and bring them up to around rough maintenance for an extended period of time, usually at least a week or two, and throw these in during your cutting phase. This became a bit more popular back when the MATADOR study came out, and this study looked at untrained obese individuals and had them either take a 16-week continuous dieting approach, or they had another group do 2 weeks of dieting with 2 weeks of diet break going around maintenance, so that their total diet period was 16 weeks. However, that total time with the diet breaks was 30 weeks. And the results from this were pretty astonishing. The diet break group lost 50% more body fat than the non-diet break group. Their metabolism was preserved twice as well. And even 6 months after the diet was done, when they followed up, the diet break group maintained their fat loss much better than the non-diet break group. And this is not insignificant, as we all know how hard it can be to keep weight off after you lose it. And I think if nothing else, this can show how we always need to slow down and be patient with things, because what good does it do to rush the process, try to get through it as fast as possible if you're just going to gain the weight back afterwards? So if you're going to maintain your weight better and have the benefits of the process sucking less by going slower because you get to eat more food, not be so aggressive with your exercise, it's easier mentally, you're not going to be as hungry. There's just so many benefits. It's why I'm constantly telling you to slow down and don't rush the process. So anyway, the study that came out more recently that has people arguing against diet breaks was a study where they had a 12-week period, and this was in leaner individuals, and they were athletes, and they did 3 weeks of cutting followed up by 1 week of diet break around maintenance. And at the end of that study, there was no difference in fat loss, muscle retention, or metabolism. So that led many people to say there's no point in diet breaks and it's just a waste of time and we shouldn't even do it. And while this isn't something we can just dismiss, we also need to look a little bit more big picture than just those results, because there were some results from this study that did show a difference, and that's the more psychological side of things. So the group that had the 1 week diet breaks reported being less hungry, had better diet satisfaction, and this certainly matters. Let's face it, why do a lot of people struggle to get the results they're after? It's lack of adherence. And why do people often struggle with adherence? Well, because they're always giving into the hunger they have. So if you have a diet protocol that allows you to get the same results while being less hungry and enjoying your diet more, it's going to make it more sustainable, and the chances of having more long-term success go up dramatically, in my opinion. We also have to consider the differences between these studies. One was in obese people who weren't active, another was in athletes who were leaner. The first study did 2 weeks of diet break followed by 2 weeks of cutting and kept repeating that. The other one had 3 weeks of cutting and 1 week of diet break. So maybe there's something to 2 weeks versus just one. Maybe there's something about people who have more weight to lose. We always have to take all these things into consideration. And from my perspective, I'm someone who coaches mostly overweight people. I don't really deal with many athletes. And I have found over time that when we take 2 week diet breaks versus one, people just tend to respond better when they come back to their cutting phase. And I mean time and time again, especially as someone who's been stalled out, we take a 2 week diet break, we come back, maybe make a small adjustment, things get moving like that. Whereas if we only take one, sometimes it's still a struggle. And even then, like, I don't work with competitors, but my good friend Paul Ravello works with almost nothing but competitors, and I know he frequently uses diet breaks and is a big proponent of them as well, and notices a difference in people. But the difference between like competitors and the average overweight person is usually a timeline. If you have a lot of weight to lose, there's no deadline that it has to be done by. You can take your time. And with with more weight to lose and a longer period of time to go, it probably makes a bit more sense to take more frequent diet breaks. Whereas if you have more of a deadline and you have to be on stage in the best shape possible at a certain time, it doesn't leave you as much time unless you take the time ahead of time, which a lot of coaches are doing now, is they're extending the prep periods so they can account for more frequent diet breaks. But you also have to know yourself as the individual too, because we're all different. We all work different, not only physiologically, but also psychologically. And if you're someone who's in the past always just try to white knuckle it through a dieting phase until you completely snap and end up undoing all your progress, well, probably not a good idea to keep trying to do that, and instead give yourself more frequent diet breaks. Now, my opinion towards part of this process has changed pretty significantly over time, and that is, I used to just kind of think, okay, just wait until there's either a plateau, or perhaps you're really feeling the effects of dieting more, you're feeling really hungry or really run down and tired, more agitated, just all the real negative things that can come with dieting. Wait till that happens, then take the break and then come back. But now I'm trying to take them more frequently and try to get ahead of that more. And I do recommend for the average person to probably take diet breaks at least every 4 to 6 weeks or so. And again, the more you have to lose, the more you can probably extend this. But what I've found is even if things are going really well, when you don't take them, you're setting yourself up for failing sometimes, because what can happen is, yeah, I'm feeling great, let's keep going. And sometimes I'll be like, hey, let's take a diet break. Like, you've been dieting for quite a long time now. It's been 8-9 weeks. And I know that you're feeling good and everything's going well and you're seeing great results and you're excited about that. But we should probably take a break just to make sure we keep you in a good spot. And they'll come back and go, no, let's keep going. I don't want to stop this. I want to keep seeing results. And I'll say, okay, like, let's keep doing it. And then the next week comes by and they're like, I feel like crap. I'm so run down. I'm absolutely ravenous. I ended up blowing out my diet because I was so tired and frustrated and hungry. And it's like, man, like, I should have just listened to myself, you know? And that's something that I'm doing more and more now, because why wait until you feel like garbage to make a change? Whereas instead you can get in front of that and make sure you keep feeling good and keep the process working better for longer. Now, I'm sure you're probably wondering, okay, this is all great, but how the heck do I set up a diet break? How many calories do I eat? Should I reduce my cardio? Well, as luck would have it, I already have a video that covers all of that. So check that out in the top video next. Otherwise, I think you'll like this bottom video instead. And I'll see you in one of those other videos.